knows what he's doing, doesn't
You know, he's basically doing that whole thing again with the old mind games, etc. And I've just realised again that the mic wasn't switched on for that one. So yeah, we probably haven't been hearing me speak for like the last 20 minutes, which is absolutely decent as fuck. But there you go. Um, yeah. So yeah, it is what it is, mate. I mean, like, and I think we've got bigger. Hang on a
he?
minute.
He got the mic sorted now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to check that that is all sorted out. To be honest with you. So, hang on. Yeah, there you go. I can actually hear that now. So I don't actually know. Hang on, let me just see if we were okay. I'm just gonna want to go back and see if I was actually chatting and you can hear me.
Still
Yeah,
got a few teething problems, of course.
yeah, we can hear now. I've actually got it sorted. It's all good and it's not looping over. Oh bloody hell! So that's kind of annoyed me a bit. But there you go. Um, where were we? Where were we?
Well, we were talking about Haaland, obviously. I mean, yeah, you think that he's going to play, probably will at least make the bench, but Phil Foden is out for a couple of weeks. But again, City's squad is more than capable of dealing with that, and he might not have even started anyway, with the huge array of talent they've got. Um, so, for me, I think it's going to be. I think City will win this. Liverpool have been pretty shocking away. They've only got one win in their last six in all competitions, and their last game in the Premier League was the one that lost away to Bournemouth. Um, you know, it's weird because obviously they've still got good quality, and after they beat United 7-0, we sort of thought, right, well, they'll kick on from here and they'll get top four, but I don't know. You just don't really know what Liverpool's going to turn up, do you? And then, so I can see. I just think City will have too much quality for them. And they've been incredible recently, haven't they? 13 goals in their last two games, 6-0 and 7-0 wins over Burnley and Leipzig. Kept 5 consecutive clean sheets. So they've been excellent at the back as well. It's just they're going to be
What?
too good for Liverpool, I think.
So you're telling me that you think on that back of if we just go over their form, you're now telling me they're putting that run of form together where they're going to win the league.
Yeah, well they might do.
No, hang on, I want commitment from that. No, yeah, it's kind of weird because obviously we done the podcast the week after the week we brought the podcast back the week of Manchester United getting absolutely annihilated at Anfield, and obviously you saw it then. It was just like I thought that Liverpool were going to be back in it, back at it, back smashing teams, and then they go and lose 1-0 to Bournemouth. Like it's just crazy. So, and like you rightly said, their away form has been absolutely horrific this season. So I do kind of think that, yeah, I think regardless, I'm going to be honest with you, regardless to whether Haaland plays, I think City
Yeah,
win. I think City win this game. Um,
I'll be very surprised if they don't. Obviously, Liverpool are going to raise their game, but City. And to be fair, they have usually got the better over Man City recently. I mean, they won the reverse fixture as well earlier this season, so you know they're going to. I'm sure Klopp will play on that. Salah got the goal in a 1-0 win, and sort of the last few games. There was only the win in the 3-2 in Carabao Cup in December when Man City won. That ended a 5-match streak without a win for City over Liverpool. So,
yeah,
City's recent history against Liverpool in the head-to-head hasn't certainly not been great. But I think in this sort of circumstance, and it's going to be Man City.
yeah, totally. I just got a message from Connor in the old YouTube at the minute. Yeah, he's in the United chat. Basically, he loves Anthony Martial. I always tell him that he should. That he's an idiot, really. Basically, he just loves Martial to bits. But if he stays around for that as well, we could probably chat some Martial as well and make him happy.
Well, I think he's back today. For Sunday, Martial.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make a difference personally, but there you go. Yeah, yeah, like you say, I think we both said that. I think City, regardless to who they play, I think they'll beat Liverpool. 100%. Haaland or no Haaland, Foden or no Foden, they'll beat them. easily for me. To be fair with you, easy stuff, easy pickings. And what we're going to say then, I am going to go for I think Liverpool will get a goal. I honestly do. So we'll probably go. I'm going to go 3-1 City.
3-1 City. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go 2-0 City. I think defensively they've been really good. I think they'll keep another clean sheet. But I mean, it's pretty big for Liverpool. They've now got City obviously away, Chelsea away, and then Arsenal at home. So they really need to be picking up points if they want to qualify for the Champions League next year. So who knows? It could be. I could also see Klopp somehow pulling up an all draw. Maybe that's my. I'm thinking with an Arsenal cap on, just hoping that City drop points. Because again, the pressure's on City. City know that they have to win. And if not, the title's slipping away, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean, but also I hope, for the life of me, I want Man City to come and catch you. So, just simply for you. I know I'm a United fan, I shouldn't really want City to win the league, but I do, just to shut you up, basically. Do you know what I mean? And, and to be fair with you, as a United fan, I don't really see City as a... You don't like to lose to them, but I don't really see, I hate Liverpool. I don't like Liverpool more than I don't like City. Let's put it like that. So yeah. Right. What else we got? We say we're going to look at the Arsenal Leeds game as well, didn't we?
Yeah. So we'll move on to that then.
Yeah.
Big thing really. No Saliba. So Saliba's out again. Looks like we're going to have to manage him quite carefully for the rest of the season, and he may only feature in sort of the bigger games. I think that's the sort of the general consensus surrounding that. And he will be a big miss, but I think without him we should still have enough to get past Leeds. Obviously, we didn't have him against Palace when we won 4-1 before the international break. Martinelli and Saka are on fire. Jesus seems to be back and fully fit 100% now, according to Arteta. So for me, again, it should be a win, and you need to be winning these games at home to Leeds. If you want to win the league, you need to be winning those games, don't you? Especially with the run of games coming up. We've got a tough run sort of fixtures, potential opportunity to drop points. So we need to capitalise in these sort of games.
Yeah, I did see that Saliba was injured, and I did straight away. My mind switched to you when I was talking about injuries and stuff, catching up with Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think if it's probably the one area of the team that you probably don't want to get injuries is probably that, because is Rob Holding really the sort of player when you're going to go into the games against Liverpool and City?
Yeah.
He's not really the sort of man you're going to sort of rely on and go, I don't
mind him at all. I think he's a decent backup, but as you say, you go to Anfield or we go to the Etihad and we've got Rob Holding. We can't play how we usually play because we'll just get caught.
Well, they done it last year, didn't they? Was it last year against Spurs? And he got sent off within 25 minutes. He was tried to push up on Son, didn't he?
Yeah.
Bosh, and just got sent off twice.
I do remember that game. That one hurt.
Yeah, so I think that as much as this is what I mean. Okay, maybe when we were discussing it, I was in the wrong area of the pitch because you have actually kind of sorted them issues out. But
Saliba's injury come,
yeah, now Saliba comes, you're like, okay, and also.
Yasu as well.
Yeah, and also it doesn't, for me, that's another area. If Ben White gets injured, I don't think Tomiyasu has really hit the forms as he did with when he first come into the club.
No, he hasn't looked as good as he was.
No.
Definitely put in a few shaky performances, especially defensively.
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, that does that. If I was an Arsenal fan today, that would probably worry me. Like you said, you should be winning games at home like this, but we have seen the Brentford game the other week. I think obviously Palace was a little bit of a weird one. Obviously losing Vieira straight away and then going to the Emirates probably wasn't good for them. So to actually, for now to actually go there today, I don't know. Leeds, great win last game for the national break versus Wolves, wasn't it? Really good performance there as well by all accounts. Even before the sending off, Leeds really put it together. I think, for your sake, I think is it Oniotto was a doubt today.
Yeah, Gnotto's he's out, and then also Max Verber at the back, he's also out. So Leeds do have a couple of injury issues themselves.
Yeah.
But Rodrigo's back, so that was important. He got a goal against Wolves, so
You mean Spain's number 9? Spain's number 9. Spain's number 9.
To be fair though, Leeds they've been doing a bit better recently. Obviously, you said about the Wolves result, and then they recently had a only narrow 1-0 loss to Chelsea before they got a good point at home to Brighton. I think if it wasn't for the injuries, because Tyler Adams is also out, I think perhaps they'd give it a bit more of a fight. But as I said, with the quality of Martinelli and Saka and Jesus now coming back, it should have too much attacking quality. And I think that Leeds, they'll be focused more on the next 2 games. They've got Forest and Palace both at home, so it'll be massive if they're able to win those. So I think they're not. I don't think they'll be expecting to necessarily get anything. Obviously, they'll be like if they get a point, that'll be a bonus. But the focus, as I said, will be on those 2 more winnable games after against Forest and Palace. But I do actually have a question for you, because I mean we were sort of talking about Saka and how good he was. He's been recently. He was brilliant against Ukraine with that goal.
Yeah.
Is he the best right winger in the world? Right winger, not left.
I mean, to be fair with you, and I'm going to be completely honest, I am not like a massive watcher of European football or world football like you used to be. I'm more focused on like English football nowadays. But yeah, I mean, when you've just said it, right winger, and rightly so, because big debates around Rashford obviously isn't there on the left, and just in form, not in terms of being the best left winger in the world.
Sort of current season.
But yeah, I did actually learn how to say his name, but now I forgot how to say his name. I've completely forgot it. The guy from Napoli.
Georgian.
Yeah.
Vicha Kvaratskhelia.
Sorry, go on.
Vicha Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm just going to go with Claradonna. Yeah, but it's a difficult one because being different footballing ages, if you said winger to me, I'm thinking your Giggs, your Beckhams, your Overmars, direct wingers, as in wingers round your full back swinging the crosses in. But to me, the game's changed so much now, isn't it? It's very rare that you actually see a left and right winger, as such.
I know what you mean, like an out sort of classical traditional winger where they literally just attack the byline and then they're just whipping crosses in.
Yeah. But I think if you were just to look at the way the game is played nowadays, and I don't mean I'm not comparing these by all accounts, even though we did joke about it the other day. You've got your Sakas, you've got your Anthony, you've got your Rashford on the left, and the guy from Napoli, right-footed player playing on the left sort of thing. So yeah, I think if you were talking in terms of that, I couldn't think of anyone better.
Well, yeah, because I was talking about it the other day, and obviously a lot of the other sort of main guys, they play on the left. Like Mbappe is from the left, Vinicius Junior will play from the left. On the right, you haven't really got many. Obviously, you got Salah, but he hasn't really been sort of the same this season as he has. Obviously, overall, you're not going to cancel out Salah for what he's done over the past, 5 years or so in the Premier League. But sort of talking about current season at the moment in the world, there's not really many, and a lot of this, as I said, sort of a lot of them are playing from the left, and I think that's obviously got a lot more predominantly right-footed players. So sort of how it's sort of moving more towards inverted wingers, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
So you naturally then they're not going to be out and out right wingers, as you were saying. They're all going to be on the left cutting in, and that's sort of how more likely the game's going, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think on current form, you are starting to think about that. I think is it Pochettino who plays for? He's been in form, isn't he?
He's a good player, but
for Napoli.
You've the same sort of level.
Yeah, you've got I can't really think of them, to be fair with you now. Obviously, you've got Anthony at United, you've got Salah at Liverpool, you've got Almiron for Newcastle, Saka at Arsenal, Leon Bailey at Villa. But these are just Premier League players to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's say, for example, Bayern, that's got to be Gnabry or a Sane.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
they're obviously up there.
but I wouldn't.
Those
But
guys.
again, like, I wouldn't say like.
They're only better than Saka.
But this is the thing, like, you know, like, kind of taking it away from the Arsenal game and going on a bit of a tangent, I suppose. And we could probably save it for another day, but we won't because there's not a lot of people here, and someone might just tune in and go, "Do you know what, that's a good conversation." You know, like, is it time, like, we actually realise that England have actually got some of the best players in the world? Because we're sitting here and, like, we're debating it, and years ago you'd be like, "Oh, well, that player from this country." But they don't, like, you know.
There isn't really. Like, you look at Real Madrid as well. I mean,
Rodrigo. That's the one I was thinking about.
Rodrigo, yeah.
But he's not.
He hasn't really been playing that much, and they've been sort of using. I think they've been using more like Valverde from the right.
Yeah.
What he has done at times, and you know that the main guy is Vinicius, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's from the left, isn't he? Yeah.
In Italy, they don't. There's not that many teams that actually use wingers. Like, obviously, Napoli play with a 4-3-3, and as we said about Kvaratskhelia, but he's from the left, and then Rafael Leao at Milan, but he's from the left as well. Inter don't have any wingers.
Oh yeah, but he's useless. I mean, the game we saw.
Leao.
Yeah, the game we.
No, he's a good player. It's just he's not been working in the system.
The mate, I went back and watched the highlights from the game we went to, and I was just like, oh my days, he was so bad.
I don't even think he was that bad in that game. I think he wasn't great, obviously, and he lacked a bit of a final product. But he was one of the few guys who were actually making things happen at least.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know
To
what
be
I mean?
fair,
Like,
yeah, he did try to make it happen. He just wasn't on form. Let's look at it like that. It just wasn't his day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably had one of the lesser games of the season, probably.
Well, he's Milan sort of changed system, and he's moved into a lot more centrally, and it just doesn't really work. So that was what they were doing when we went to the Atalanta game.
Yeah.
I think when he's used more out wide, that's when he becomes more effective.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty interesting. As I said, you struggle to really think of too many other like proper right wingers.
Yeah, well, that means if Rashford does eventually become one of the best left wingers in the world, he's got more competition. So you just kind of like made a rod for your own back there, mate. But no, let's answer the question correctly. Is he probably one of the best right wingers in the world? You'd have to say yes. Probably the only rival he's really got is probably Salah, and potentially Rodrigo from Madrid, like you say. But if they're using Valverde there, you know. Yeah, there's not really not much about it, is there?
No, and obviously, I think you can't really knock Salah as such. Like, he's literally been one of the best players in the world for the past 5 years. It's just,
We can. He's Scouser, mate. You can knock anything. Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just this current season. Like, you know, it's not been the same.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Wait, I think the lineups are out. So let's see.
He better be playing. He isn't playing.
There's no Haaland. Yeah.
I just got Haaland out of the squad. He's completely out of the squad. Doesn't change my opinion though. City still win.
Yeah, still win. Alvarez up top. Yeah.
Yeah, City still win that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So let's go back to the Arsenal Leeds game because we've completely gone off there.
We really have.
With you, to be fair with you, I think it's going to go in Arsenal's favour today. Like Onana's, you know, like, I think he's a real threat for Leeds as a top quality player. Actually saw him linked with Arsenal as it goes. Yeah, the other week, and I was a bit like, well, they don't really need him, but it'll be a good addition, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I think it goes in Arsenal's favour today. A few injuries for Leeds. Is that I think the midfielder as well? Did you cover that?
Tyler Adams.
Yeah, he's out as well, which I think like him and Weston McKennie when they played against United, and maybe it's part of why they are playing and starting to turn around a little bit. Leeds, they were really instrumental in the fight in the midfield for them, and they completely transformed Leeds. So I think that could be a bit of a miss for them today. I see a comfortable win for Arsenal, to be fair with you, as much as I did say the Brentford game and a couple of games where they have struggled, Arsenal. I can see that being an easy win. I'm going to go 2 or 3-0, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go, we'll probably concede. I'll go 3-1 Arsenal.
Okay, nice. Nice. Well, shall we have a look at what's next?
Well, I guess it's Newcastle versus Manchester United, isn't it?
Right, I'm just going to put it out there correctly for anyone who who is about, and yeah, it's Newcastle United versus Manchester United. I have seen so many tweets going around about Newcastle fans losing it over the fact that they don't put thingy United after Newcastle now on Sky. Have you not seen that? Like every time now, it's like Newcastle. They've dropped the United
Oh,
from
really?
like all that. It's just like they're commercialising it, sort of thing. I haven't looked into why Newcastle fans have a problem with it. Perhaps it's because it's their names. But yeah, I think like the reason why a lot of teams just they put like Manchester United and Manchester City is because there are two different clubs. There's only one club in Newcastle, right?
Yeah, you got to distinguish it, haven't you?
So yeah, so so yes, I'm going to go correct. It's Newcastle United versus Manchester United. Now, I'll go first. Really, I think it's probably best.
Yeah, your take on United, of course. Let's go.
To be fair with you, right? I said on the podcast. I think this is probably where, how can I say? I'm not trying to be like deflect it from Manchester United, but as in like play it down. But I kind of think like this is where Ten Hag is kind of like he needs to kind of how can I say it? He kind of needs to kind of like we did at Anfield in that first 15 minutes of the second half. Need to learn how to play into the games more and kind of be more reserved. You're going to go to a game. You're going to go to a ground tomorrow. I think it's kind of good for United that they haven't had a couple of wins in like the last couple of weeks because of the international break to go on. So you know what I'm saying. If they had a couple of wins in this last week, then I think United probably would have found it a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But I think the case of that we've had an international break that might help United with the fan side of things and the crowd. But I think Newcastle United. I think I was watching a game the other week with Newcastle. The last game before the international break, I think who did they play? And I think
Forest.
it was no, yeah. I watched that game, but there was a home game they played as well. Wolves, that's the one. And the crowd before the game now they really get the place fucking going, don't they? And like that's a concern for me because obviously you sit there and you see how the crowd get everyone going and yeah, it's Newcastle's
You
going to
don't
be.
want to go to. You don't ever like enjoy going to St James's Park, do you? Even when Newcastle weren't even being that great, like you still didn't enjoy it. It was always you knew it could be quite tough, and if Newcastle got an early goal or something, the crowd would always be right behind them, and it'd always be difficult. Like
Yeah, exactly.
unless you got an early goal and you quiet
Yeah.
the crowd down, like, and then they start, throwing the toys out the pram, etc. You see that happening, but it's not nice, especially now how well they're doing. It's just even more amplified, isn't it?
Oh mate, it's kind of like annoying that I predicted it on the podcast, and I think we are United might struggle there tomorrow, and it could be a very sticky one for them. And I don't.
Oh yeah,
really,
you said that you could see it hiding again.
Yeah, I could potentially see. I could see it. And especially like it's been well documented how well we do not play without Casemiro.
Yeah,
and
he's suspended still.
yeah, and so yeah, that's for me.
He's not really been that convincing of late, really. Ever since the 7-0 defeat to Liverpool.
It was before that. It has been
the main one.
Yeah, I think the only good thing is we did have a couple of good games in the Europa League, so that could pull us through. We had the FA Cup game against Fulham at the end of that game, obviously the 3-1, and then.
If it weren't for the red cards there, I think Fulham probably would have gone through.
Well, I think at the time, to be fair with you, I mean, I said it to you at the time when when we were reviewing the game, or we were analysing the game against Fulham. Like Anthony really changed that game. To be fair with you, and they were just coming back into it, and I think it was the ball down to the right to Anthony, who then passed it across to Sancho to actually get the penalty in the first place. Yeah. So I kind of think that kind of is. Yeah, I kind of think. Yeah, that would have changed the game. I think we would have gone and won that game. But yeah, hopefully, like I did say in the podcast, a lot of the games have been catching up with Manchester United. I don't think a lot of our players were away on international duty this week. Obviously,
Rashford wasn't.
yeah, exactly. Rashford not being there, so obviously, I feel that I think that could help us. I think we could get everyone back together. We could go again, but I still feel.
Scotland McTominay scoring 4 in 2 games for Scotland.
Yeah.
As well. What's that all about?
Well, he used to play up front for the reserves. So he has played up front. Who knows? And to be fair with you, I was thinking about this when I actually saw it. When Ten Hag has brought him on recently, he has actually been playing him a more advanced role. He hasn't been playing him deep.
Who's going to be in the midfield then? So obviously no Casemiro.
So that'll what my opinion or the options?
Yeah. Well, who do you think, and who are the options?
Well, the options obviously we've got Casemiro, Fred, Sabitzer, Bruno, McTominay will be in there as well potentially, and I think they are really your options. You might throw one in and potentially play Lisandro Martinez in there as well. There is that option. He has done it before. And if he feels like he is missing that bite in there, because I think like in the Fulham game, one of the biggest things for me is that we did actually miss a bit, and I don't know why my camera's just done that. It's just done my head in a bit. Proper, yeah, there we go. Hopefully that'll be okay. Sorry, mate. Yeah, went really big there, didn't it? But yeah, I think hopefully, when they changed that around, Sabitzer and McTominay was just no good. I think they changed that around. I think they dropped Bruno deeper besides Sabitzer, and it worked well. I did actually like Bruno in that deeper role.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's focus on that. I think he'll probably go. I don't know. I don't even know the best option for it. I really don't.
It's not great, is it? You don't really fancy any of them to really do. Like, there's no... Obviously, as soon as you lose Casemiro, there's not, like, a cleared sort of backup, do you know what I mean?
But last year, this is the thing I was trying to say to you as well. Again, reverting back to the podcast, and anyone who didn't know, we do the podcast on the Monday. It's going back to last year. You've got no Eriksen, and you've got no Casemiro. So we are going Bruno and just trying to split it up. But yeah, the only problem with that is, I did like Bruno when he dropped in deep, but also you do lose that creative spark. So it's a bit of a, what do you do? But yeah, so I think he'll probably go Sabitzer and Fred. I think he'll go Sabitzer and Bruno playing together, and then I think he'll play either McSauce or Fred pushing forward. So yeah, I think that'll be one of them two going forward, and maybe McTominay might have persuaded him to push him a little bit forward after this week's performances. So we'll see. Martial coming back though.
Should be in the squad. Should be.
Yeah, I did. That is a yes. He's in the squad for me. I think he'll be in the squad. So yeah.
I think you missed him. I think he, when he has played, he's done all right.
Yeah, no, I mate, you know my opinions, and on Martial. I think the guy is probably one of the most frustrating footballers I've ever seen in the world. He when he can be bothered, I think he's unplayable. I think his finishing. I know it sounds like a daft thing to say, but you know what I mean. People will know what I mean. You watch a lot of his goals, and the keeper doesn't get near him, and it's very rare he touches him. And I know that sounds strange, but you do get that with a lot of strikers, like a deflection of the keeper, he just gets his hand to it or something like that. But he's so good at passing the ball into the corners and just he's such a good finisher. And you talk about him like he's a world beater, but then I can't be asked.
You know what I mean? Stay on the pitch either,
Sorry?
He just can't even stay on the pitch either. He's hardly just been playing. He's been so sporadic in how when he's been able to actually play for United.
Is he a bit of a pussy as well though? Is it a part?
I don't know. He probably is.
Is it one of them he walks around he's got this mantle upon him and like no one can touch him? But maybe he's just a bit of a. I think Rashford done it in the derby against Man City, and I think Ten Hag kind of touched on it after the game, where I think he went down the left hand side, pulled up with a bit of an injury, and then like there was like, oh, Rashford's looking unsteady. Rashford, like, they're going to bring him off, and then all of a sudden, after the game, Ten Hag was like, well, now you kind of have to get over that, like kind of have to man up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So probably the same sort of thing with Martial. I'm not always convinced. Let's look at it like that. I'm not always convinced by them injuries. So
that'd be interesting. I mean, you're getting paid all that money a week, and then just because you got a slight little knock, you're not going to play.
But the only thing I would say about Martial, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think this year when he has played for United, and you just rightly touched upon it, you're seeing a different player. I think you do see that work rate. I think in his last game was against Man City, and you didn't see that work rate because he was an actual doubt for that game, and maybe it was that game which gave him the injury which was gone forward, and maybe Ten Hag kind of needs to be a little bit more chilled with him, I guess. But yeah, all right. Look, we've rattled on about the game. We haven't really concentrated on it. I'm gonna go 3-0 Newcastle.
3-0 Newcastle.
Yeah, 3 or 4-0. Yeah,
Wow.
I can just see it. I can just see it. I can just see that whole fucking. Do you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ, like just being. I think he'll learn that. I think he'll learn that about his team.
Surely you would have thought he'd already learnt that after the drubbing at Anfield.
Maybe that'll be a case that we might turn up there.
Cautious.
Might be a bit cautious. Just go for it. I think because even if Newcastle win, they go above us. So like a draw is what they really want. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the main thing we need to try and do at the minute. Everyone's going United are back. Well, they were saying it before this. The Liverpool loss, but I think it's kind of like you need to take them baby steps, and it's not about going to Anfield and the Etihad and the Emirates and winning these games. Of course, you'd like to do that, but it's about not losing. And I think that's the first foremost thing he's got to do is learn not to lose.
So you'll be happy with the point then, I'm sure, if you're expecting.
Well, yeah, but that's always been my motto in football. I think.
If I was a United fan, I'd be happy with a point.
Yeah.
Against Newcastle.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like people go, "Oh, you should be going to Newcastle and beat them." No, like at home, I want United. I think United should win every game.
Yeah.
You go into